For centuries, the Book of Revelation has terrified and fascinated readers. It's a text filled with cosmic battles, strange beasts, and apocalyptic imagery that has led many to fear the end of the world. But what if the popular image of Revelation is completely wrong? What if this book wasn't meant to be a terrifying forecast of the future, but a message of hope for its original readers? The key to unlocking Revelation isn't prophecy charts or news headlines. It's understanding the unique language and historical context of a literary genre known as apocalyptic literature. In this video, we're going to decode the most misunderstood book in the Bible, one symbol and one interpretation at a time. Before we dive into Revelation itself, we need to understand the world it came from. Apocalyptic literature was a popular form of writing for Jewish people during times of persecution. It's a style that uses visions, vivid symbolism, and coded language to talk about a struggle between good and evil. The purpose wasn't to predict the future with perfect clarity, but to give comfort and encouragement to a suffering audience. Think of it like this. Imagine you live in a country where your government is actively trying to take away your rights and perhaps even persecute you because of your beliefs. You might feel scared, helpless, and hopeless. Now imagine someone hands you a story about a good king who will defeat an evil queen and restore peace to your land. Even if the story isn't literally true, it could still bring you hope and comfort. That's what apocalyptic literature does. It tells stories about the ultimate triumph of good over evil, giving hope to people who are facing difficult times. Now, let's look at some examples. One of the most famous apocalyptic texts outside the Bible is the book of Daniel. During the time of Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian Empire, the Jewish people faced immense pressure to abandon their faith and worship the gods of their conquerors. Daniel received a vision of a ram that had 2 horns, representing the kings of Media and Persia, who eventually overthrew the Babylonians. This vision gave hope to the Jewish people, showing them that even mighty empires rise and fall, and that God is in control. Another example is the Book of Enoch. Written around the same time as Daniel, Enoch tells the story of a righteous man who is taken up into heaven and shown the secrets of the universe. This story gave hope to those persecuted by the Syrian king Antiochus Epiphanes, assuring them that God knows their suffering and will ultimately judge the wicked. Revelation is the definitive Christian example of this genre. It's not a secret code for us to decipher in the modern world, but a powerful, symbolic message that was designed to be understood by its original audience, who were facing brutal Roman persecution. Now that we know the literary context of Revelation, let's look at some of its most famous symbols and uncover their meaning. Take the lamb, for example. It appears with 7 horns and 7 eyes, representing power and wisdom. But the lamb is also slain, a clear reference to Jesus Christ's sacrifice. The dragon is the ultimate spiritual enemy, and its symbolism is direct. It's a representation of Satan, who tries to devour the child who represents Jesus. The dragon loses power when the child is taken away to heaven. The woman who gives birth to the child represents the nation of Israel. The great multitude that comes out of the mouth of the dragon are the followers of Satan who try to deceive the nations. What about the infamous number 666? For centuries, people have speculated about its meaning, but scholars have a widely accepted answer. In the ancient world, letters had numerical values. This practice is called gematria. When you add up the numerical values of the name Nero Caesar in Hebrew, you get 666. It was a clear, coded reference to the tyrannical emperor who was actively persecuting Christians. The mark of the beast was a subtle, dangerous warning to a suffering people. So far, we've looked at 3 different ways to interpret Revelation. Preterism argues that everything in Revelation has already happened. The events described relate to the persecution of the early church and the destruction of Jerusalem and the Roman Empire in the 1st century. For preterists, Revelation is a book of history, not prophecy. Historicism views Revelation as a map of Christian history. The prophecies in the book are seen as a continuous sequence of events unfolding over the course of the church age, from John's time to the Second Coming. Idealism interprets Revelation as a symbolic account of the spiritual battle between good and evil. It's not tied to any specific time period, but is a timeless story of God as ultimate triumph. Finally, Futurism is the most popular view today. It argues that the majority of Revelation's prophecies are yet to be fulfilled. This view sees the book as a literal prophecy of a final end times event, including the tribulation and the second coming of Christ. No matter which interpretation you hold, it's important to remember the historical context of the book and its original audience. Revelation was written during a time of intense persecution. The Roman Empire, with its powerful military and oppressive policies, seemed invincible. For the early Christians, life was difficult. They were often forced to meet in secret and lived under the constant threat of torture or death. Now imagine you're one of these Christians. You've heard rumors of a great tribulation coming soon. The Roman emperor is known for his cruelty, and you know that he hates Christians. Then someone hands you a book that describes a series of visions of cosmic battles, of a monstrous beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, of a great city, Babylon, that will suddenly fall. At first, this book may seem confusing and even frightening, but as you read on, you begin to understand the bigger picture. You learn that the beast, with all its power and might, will ultimately be defeated. You hear about a great white throne where judgment will be passed. You see a new heaven and a new earth where God will dwell with his people. As you close the book, you feel a sense of hope and comfort. Yes, you're going through tough times right now, but you know that God is in control. He sees your suffering, and one day he will make things right. That's the message of Revelation. It's a reminder that no matter how dark things may seem, God is ultimately victorious. It told them that their suffering wasn't in vain and that God would have the final say. It assured them that the powerful, seemingly unstoppable Roman Empire would ultimately fall and God's kingdom would triumph. In the first century, apocalyptic literature was a lifeline for those facing persecution. It allowed them to express their struggles and provided hope for a better future. Similarly, today, during times of uncertainty and hardship, Revelation can offer solace and strength. It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, God is still in control, and that hope and salvation are never out of reach. So, what do you think? How does Revelation speak to your life today? Do you see it as a historical account, a symbolic message, or a prophecy of future events? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to stay updated on all our latest content. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. Until next time.